Now we're going to go into a section to do with directions now, and we're going to talk about things called bearings. Bearings are a way of giving your direction, what direction you want to walk or what direction you're looking. So you can see here at the moment I've got 2 points marked on this page, point A and point B. Now when we talk about bearings, we give a direction a number between 0 and 360 degrees. Now you're used to things like north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, directions like that. But since you can turn 360 degrees in a circle, we give directions in terms of a number between 0 and 360. First of all, you need to know is whenever you're giving bearings, you always have to give it consideration to how many degrees you're rotating around from north. Now north is considered to be 0, 0, 0 degrees, or 0 degrees. So whenever we talk about 0 degrees, we're talking due north. Now if I wanted to do this first question here, what is the bearing of the line AB? So what is the direction that line is facing? Well, clearly it's not facing north. Clearly it's not facing east. It's not facing south. You might be inclined to say it's facing southeast, but we don't know for sure. That would have to be 45 degrees in here. How are we going to work this out? So whenever you give bearings, you always give a number. Stand at your starting point, face north, and then rotate around in a clockwise direction. And the size of that angle is the bearing or the direction of this line. Now you'll need to use your protractor. You'll need to be familiar with how to use that. Now I have noticed that people at times are a little bit ordinary with using protractors. So I'll give you a quick rundown on how to do that. So here where the angle is, this is where we put the crosshairs. Now notice how I've got the protractor set up. I've got this line along here, we call that the baseline. I put the baseline along one of the arms of the angle, and then the other arm of the angle gives me the angle. The other arm makes the angle, gives me the size of the angle. Only problem is I've got two numbers here. I've got a number around about 110, another number around about 70. Now which number do I use? So once you've got the crosshairs on the center there, look along your baseline. There's two rows of numbers. There's the outside numbers and the inside numbers. No surprise for guessing, start with 0. So 0 is on the outside, so when I rotate around to the other arm, I'm reading off the outside. So I get around here 90 degrees, 100 degrees, so I'd call that as 105. I would call that 106 degrees. So the line going A to B is travelling at 106 degrees, and that's what we call the bearing of the line AB. Now be aware, there's another way that you can word this, and it is a way that you'll come up in your textbook from time to time. They might talk about the bearing of B from A. The wording is very important. So you want to, where you end up is mentioned first, where you're coming from is mentioned second. So you're coming from A towards B. So what's the bearing of B coming from A? And once again, that is now 106 degrees. Now, something else that you'll need to talk about during this unit of work is a thing called a back bearing. That's the bearing if you were to go back the other way along the line. So if I'm going from A to B, this direction, 106 degrees, well, what angle would I be walking on if I was going back the other way? Very easy to work out. Because the line is 180 degrees, all we need to do is take what our answer is, and either, if the number is bigger than 180, we either subtract 180 degrees from our number, or like in our case, if our number is smaller than 180, we add 180 degrees. So we either take off the number of degrees in an angle, in a straight line, or we add on the number of degrees in a straight line. Well, since we have a small number, we're going to add on 180 degrees. So the back bearing to go from B back to A is 286 degrees. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Now, something I do want to show you, which is going to you will need. Most of you are going to have a protractor like this where it's only half a circle. What happened if I wasn't given this information here? I didn't work out the 106 first. What if the question just told me find the bearing from of the line BA? We wanted this direction here. Bearings are always given from north, 0 degrees. Starting from there, we rotate around in a clockwise fashion. That angle there is the bearing going from B to A. Now, we already know it's 286. We just worked it out. But let's say we didn't know this first. My protractor doesn't measure more than 180 degrees. How do I measure this angle? Well, it's two ways. Way number one, you could measure that angle there and then subtract it from 360 degrees. Or you could measure this angle here and add on to 180. So from north, if I come around 180 degrees, I've got here, and then add on this last little bit. Either way, taking this angle from 360 or adding this angle on to 180, you'll arrive back at the 286. Now, some other work that you need to do, I'm going to have a look at some examples. First of all, example 1 from your textbook. Here is our given diagram. We want to work out the bearing of B from A. So we're going from A to B. We're going this direction. So therefore, A, we erect the north going line and work out the angle in the clockwise direction. So I'll quickly do that now for you. Crosshairs on the point of the angle, baseline along one of the arms. Now, the baseline, 0 is on the outside, so I'm reading off the outside numbers, and that is looking at around about 57 degrees. Bearing of BC, so that's that angle there. Now, it goes past, there's my straight line of 180. If I measure this angle in here and add on to 180, I'll have it. So let's just measure that angle. Now, put the crosshairs at the point of the angle, baseline along one of the arms. Now the baseline, once again, I have 0 on the outside still. Rotate, reading off the outside, so that's going to be about, that's hard to see, so I will just extend that out. And I can see therefore my angle is at about 28 degrees. So I'm going to add on, there's my 180 down to there. I'm now going to add on this 28, and that will give me the direction that I'm after. So the bearing BC is 208 degrees. Now the back bearing of BC, well, here's our information up here I mentioned before, our back bearings. We either add or subtract 180 degrees. Since that's bigger than 180, I'm going to do 208, take away 180. So the back bearing is going to be 28 degrees. And there is example number 1, how to do bearings and back bearings, how to use your protractor.